Welcome back. You're still watching this special episode celebrating the second day of Eid al-Adha here in Egypt, and I am honored to be having with me for today in the studio is Dr. Mohamed Khafif, the Islamic thinker and researcher in the Islamic and social affairs. Thank you very much once again for being with us.
Thank you, sir.
Tonight. We were speaking before this report about the sacrifice, the essence of charity for the poor, especially on an important day, a religious occasion such as Eid al-Adha or the Greater Bayram or the Feast of Sacrifice. What is the importance of giving charity in general with good intentions as well?
Well, there is one unrevocable condition for charity, that it has to be earned properly and in an honest way.
Yes.
Money, any wealth that is earned illegally or immorally cannot be accepted as charity. So this is one other aspect that urges Muslims to beware of how they earn their money, so that or their wealth, so that when they intend to give charity, they are sure that it will be accepted. This is one other aspect of the importance of charity and its way of regulating people, how people earn their wealth.
Yes, Doctor, how do you think we should be preparing for celebrating Eid al-Adha and the Greater Bayram for the people living in Egypt, and of course for the Muslims in the entire Islamic nation outside of Saudi Arabia, not in the pilgrimage, during the pilgrimage?
Well, preparing for a feast like for the Eid al-Adha feast doesn't need much trouble, as many people do.
Yes.
The only thing that is quite commendable, that the not very rich and not very poor, let's say, can save aside some money so that they can perform the charity of giving the sheep or sacrificing the sheep in Eid al-Adha.
Yes.
If that's not possible, it is open that any Muslim can donate any quantity of meat instead of a whole sheep, so that he would not burden his budget and put himself in trouble. That's why it's my personal opinion that buying a sheep by installments is something that is not very acceptable in my view.
Sometimes over 12 months.
Exactly.
So what is the difference between giving charity in Eid al-Adha or Eid al-Fitr, the Greater Bayram, the Lesser Bayram, or Ramadan? There's no difference.
Exactly, and it becomes a burden rather than something pleasant and something that spreads joy among people.
Yes.
So,
in Egypt, in your opinion, how do you see the celebrations of the feasts in general?
Well, when we talk about the feasts of religious nature, in general, there are no big differences between Egypt and other nations, since those feasts are of a religious nature and its rites are almost the same.
Yes.
Maybe the slight differences is maybe in the way people gather socially, or how they celebrate on the family level, or on a business level, people working at the same place and so forth. So the differences are very minor. Let's say celebrating the national days of a country.
Yes.
Of course, there are totally different ways of doing it. Every nation has its own history and has its own traditions. So here we can find stark differences. But in religious feasts, differences are not very big.
Yes, Doctor, but do you have main traditions for yourself and for your family celebrating the Greater Bayram, the Feast of Sacrifice?
Well, it's almost the same like our neighbor, and like the next neighbor on the other side. We gather socially. we enjoy the part of the sheep that we are entitled to.
Yes.
And it is also a joy for especially the young people to be taught to distribute the meat of this sheep to the poor and to the friends and to the neighbors and so forth, so that they would learn this good habit when they become family ladies and family men. This charitable spirit would be embedded in them, and they would perform it happily, not as something intruded on them.
Do you think that is important to be having large gatherings during celebrating the feasts?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It is something good, but it is not obligatory, and those who have two good friends should be very happy people.
Yes. In terms of celebrating the feast of sacrifice, or the feast, the Lesser Bayram after Ramadan, do you think that is important to be having the blessings of charity, the lessons that we get from charity, from compassion as well? Do you think that these lessons, we need to be applying them in the society, the Egyptian society?
Absolutely, absolutely, because all those lessons of charity who are given to us on certain occasions or on certain times are there to remind us that this should happen all over the year and all over the place. So we shouldn't think that this is those lessons are for that specific 3 days or 4 days of the feast. No, absolutely not.
How do you think we could be strengthening the bonds of family and the communities during those religious times?
That spreads all over the year, and the result of this process all over the year will reflect in the feast, not the other way around.
Yes, during the whole year.
Yes. Oh. So we should start, I mean, you get a notification from your boss. Okay, you should do this, and that. Okay, then I should do this when only just today. No, this is a standing order. Okay, so
I have to do it every day.
Absolutely,
of the year.
It has to become a habit. A wise man once said, one way of living happily is finding good habits and become their slave.
Yes, and speaking of good habits, we have prayers for the feast of sacrifice. We have special prayers, we have a special sermon during the mosques as well. Do you think that the sermons should be focusing on certain lessons to be learned from this special occasion?
Usually they are. Usually they stress and emphasize the holiness of this occasion, and how we should celebrate it, and how we should be grateful to God for having granted it to us, and so forth. This usually is what happens.
Yes, Doctor, allow me to be going to the upcoming break, and we'll be returning once again to you on this special edition celebrating the second day of Eid al-Adha, or the Feast of Sacrifice, here in the country.